Yeah, it should be.
Okay. Hi, I'm Third Eye, and I spy with my spiritual eye to bring you the light and the insight so that you can move through this planetary energy effectively and efficiently, manifesting in the present moment magically. Today, I'm here to talk about Cancer season, which is the season that we are in, the energy of the week, and the energy of last week. Just to give you a recap. So, the season that we are in right now is Cancer season, which is a watery season, which is going to be about emotions. Mainly feeling like there's a full moon every day, but not really. With that being said, there's going to be the challenge in relationships in this season, which I like to call as a part of the metamorphosis that we seem to go through over and over and over. This is the cocoon stage. This is where, after gathering information, we take that information and reform, reshape, or recreate ourselves. What does happen during this process is there are breakups. There are also makeups. So, in this season, you may be, pushed to leave a situationship, a friendship, or a romantic relationship, or a business partnership. Or you may be, prompted to join forces with somebody as far as a business partner, a friendship, a romantic partnership, or a just something, platonic, something new with somebody that, you never met before. Or there may be someone from the past who comes back around to rekindle something that you used to have. However, when it comes to manifesting in this season, instead of it being about what you're thinking or what you're saying, it's going to be more about how you feel, because you're going to be able to feel things into existence. This is going to be a good practice for you to utilize your emotions to manifest what you want, and see how you're manifesting what you don't want based on how you feel. We have what I like to refer to as an internal battle that comes with this season as well. Of course, some of you may know that we are always at war with ourselves whenever we are not at peace. So, with this internal battle, we're going to be fighting against fear with love, and we're going to be fighting against love with fear. So the internal battle is love versus fear. Now, when you're able to win this internal battle within yourself, you will not have to worry about it becoming an external fight or a war between you and someone else or a group of people. However, if you're unable to win this internal battle within yourself, there will be battles that you will have to fight that could lead to a much bigger war between you and a group of people, not just, a significant other. However, this is also a time for you to focus on the relationship that you have with yourself, because that is the most important relationship that you will ever have within consciousness. We also have a Mercury retrograde happening along with Uranus being in retrograde. So there's going to be a lot of things that are going to come into the light. There are also going to be a lot of the past kind of repeating itself, as far as like conversations or old communications that have to do with things that need to kind of be gone over again or readdressed. But for the most part, let's get into it, because I want to give you a recap of the energy of last week, where we had the card of the week being the Lover's card, with a lot of Gemini energy happening. There was a lot of us needing to face ourselves when it comes to relationships, and needing to see ourselves in other people, so that we can make decisions to either break up or make up. So if you decided to stay with somebody at the end of the week, this week, the challenge is going to be a little bit different. But to give you a recap of the way it may have went for you or for people around you, because the energy of the cards that I'm going to be speaking about is not directly fortune or misfortune for you specifically. This is a collective reading. So this is also going to pertain to people that you are in connection with. The first card of the week happened on Sunday, or the day that I like to refer to as Illumination Day, because it's always the day that people, places, and things come into the light to give us instructions or direction, to inform us of what we didn't know, or so that we can utilize it to, reshape or reform us on the inside, so that we can have a magical creator effect on our reality. So at the first day of the week, we have 7 days of creation to create the harvest of what we will be able to enjoy the fruits of at the end of the week, karmically. So Sunday gives us a hint. And the card of the week, the card of the day for Sunday was the Princess of Swords, which represents needing to pay more attention to how you're utilizing your creative energy, because you may be wasting a lot of it on people, places, and things that are not serving you. Or you may be trying to utilize your creative energy to serve you in a way that's not actually good for you, and you don't know it until you get to the end of the week and you see that, things are not working out the way that you wanted them to. However, the next day, after people, places, and things came into the light, or were highlighted or illuminated so that you can see them, on Moon Day, or Monday, the day that I like to refer to as Reflection Day, because this is the day that we utilize introspection, or we decide to do shadow work, so that we can reflect on our inner world being an authentic match to our outer world. With that being said, we need to decide the difference between what is actually real and unchanging, and just what we feel that we're experiencing based on how we feel only, not pertaining to the logic of what is actually going on. On Moon Day, after the Princess of Swords, we got the Prince of Wands, which is the card that represents being able to see your situation creatively, not looking at it as an opportunity that is opposing who you are, but looking at it as an opportunity that is showing who you are, meaning it's giving you the chance to utilize your power in a very creative way, which after seeing what was done in the dark coming into the light and being able to reflect on yourself with this energy, you should have been able to really see if you are utilizing your power to serve you in a good way, or utilizing your power to serve you in a bad way. Because when it came to relationships, you were either the selfish narcissist and trying to extract more energy than you actually needed from someone or something or a place that you were in, like at work, by being a manipulator, not actually utilizing putting the work in so that things can actually last for a long period of time. You end up getting something that lasts for just a moment or not very long, and you end up having to keep manipulating, and how they say, tell one lie, then you have to tell another lie to cover that lie, then you have to keep telling more lies to keep people believing the truth, instead of just being honest and upfront about, what it really is that you truly need or desire, or how you feel about the uncertainty. The next day we had, on Mars Day, we had the Seven of Pentacles, which represents, needing to invest more, or needing to resign, or, quit while you're ahead. Because I know they say, you should never quit, but it's not about not quitting. It's about knowing when to quit and, when to keep going. So with this energy of the Seven of Pentacles in play on Tuesday, or Mars Day, which I like to call Solution Day, which is the day that we decide to put our time and energy into people, places, or things, and or take our time and energy out of people, places, and things. At this point, you are either realizing that what you were doing was actually working for you and you needed to keep going, or you realized that what you were doing wasn't working the way that you needed it to, and you needed to, kind of start over and reform your plan because things were not going the way they could have, or should have, or would have, had you utilized your power in a much more efficient, effective, or skilled way. So when it comes to self-discipline, on Wednesday, which is also known as Communication Day, whereas there's Mercury energy, we needed to kind of realize that if we were going to make this work between us and somebody else, no matter what kind of ship it was, that we needed to actually deal with the conflicts of interest that were being shown to us between us and them. Meaning, it was time for you to address them, or realize that you are the one who was causing most of the problems based on, what you're taking from conversations, or as far as like paying attention to the messages and the messengers, let's just say like on social media, or kind of overhearing conversations that other people are, having conversations about, or, seeing a scene from a movie, or hearing a song on the radio that kind of pertains to your situation, to give you the sign or the wonder that pertains to the answer to what you're praying about, or what you're thinking about as far as the negative chatter in your head, so that you can see that you're thinking or communicating, a lot of negative things to yourself, or you're having inner conversations about more of the positive things, and it's not manifesting, in your time and space reality as the things that you don't want, and it's manifesting more of the things that you do want, because you're less focused on having resistance towards what people, places, and things are doing, and you're taking more responsibility for what you are doing to affect your reality. Whether that's doing shadow work on Moon Day, taking responsibility for your part on Sunday, or realizing that you're using your power to manipulate instead of, to motivate and inspire yourself to be better or do better, or love more. Because it comes a time when you need to realize that communicating with people is it's a two-way thing, and there can always be misunderstandings. But everybody involved needs to be, able to understand the perception of the conversation is going to work kind of like this, where, let's say, from your perspective, the room is one color, and from their perspective, the room is a whole nother color. And neither colors are actually showing the color of the room. For example, let's say the room is green, and from your perspective, the room is yellow, and from their perspective, the room is blue. If you keep speaking on your perspective, and they keep speaking on their perspective, but you never come to a integrated conclusion that says, okay, we're both taking both perspectives into consideration to create what is, which means with yellow and blue, you could come together prospectively and see the green. But if you stick with your perspective and you never take the other person's perspective into consideration, you're not going to see the color of the room. You're not going to see the color of their perspective, and you're only going to see things your way. On Wednesday of last week, we had the Five of Swords as the card, representing conflicts of interest, meaning there could be an argument stirring up, or there could have actually been an argument. However this went last week, after having conversations or having disagreements, this led to either finding the passion to make things work, or losing the passion for making things work and wanting to move on to bigger and better or other things because, things weren't working out. When we moved into the next day after Mercury Day, which was Thursday, or the day that I refer to as Judgments Day, where we're making judgments based on how we analyze or how we perceive our life lessons being blessings, or our blessings becoming life lessons. Meaning, at this point, you either was open to learning from your mistakes, or you was no longer open to continuing to make the mistake, and you was ready to move on, because you had a passion for something that you didn't want to give up on, and this person, place, or thing was holding you back from that, or you were unable to see your own situation clearly, so you became the problem with your own manifestations, and you were just spending time shaming, blaming, and guilt-tripping others for the reason why things were the way that they were, instead of seeing that everybody has a place in being at fault for being a vibrational match to being in the situation, whether this was you being on the outside looking in and needing to take in something from that, or you being in it and needing to take something in from that, as far as, what it's like for a person to have passion for something or speak passionately about something that they care about more than you do, and you not really being able to, tune in or tap into their energy in a nurturing or caring, feeling way, which led to moving toward Venus Day or Friday, where we needed to trust our intuition to guide us into making important relationship decisions with either one important relay or multiple relays, based on us being able to use our hearts and not our eyes, and looking at the situation from how it looks, or how we want it to look, or how it seems to feel, but more based on what it is that we really, truly, honestly want. However, if we did not, make all the right choices, starting with what came into the light, choosing to do the shadow work, deciding to put our time and energy into the right thing and not the wrong thing, actually having the conversation about the conflicts of interest, and seeing that either our life lessons have become blessings, or our blessings have now become life lessons, we were probably, feeling like there was a burden placed upon us that we didn't want to deal with. So we found a way to either shy away from, or, manipulate our way out of, or we was actually able to say, you know what, this is not actually, what I want for us. And I think that we need to take the time to, go to our corners, rethink this thing, and, do what we need to do, because this could be better. And I don't want to point a finger at you feeling like there aren't any fingers pointing at me, because we're both just as much at fault. Or there was you continuing to shame, blame, and guilt trip, not take responsibility for your own choices, actions, or emotions, and you place the burden upon the other person, making them responsible for how you feel, instead of you being responsible for how you feel. Because although we know that teamwork makes the dream work, somebody who is a selfish narcissist turns every dream into a nightmare, or they feel like the relationship is all about them, and they don't really, care to deal with how the other person in the relationship is thinking, feeling, or speaking, or whatever. So they just continue to, stonewall or gaslight or whatever to, keep their position and play the innocent role, instead of saying, okay, yeah, I need to work on some stuff just as much as you do, so that we can make this better. Because everybody who has learned about manifestation knows that the only way that you can affect your reality is by changing you. It's never by changing other people. Moving on into Saturn energy, or at the end of the week, where we reap whatever we have been sowing all week long, and what goes around comes back around, or what we put out comes back to us. We enter into this character role with the King of Pentacles in play, where we're either determined to do whatever it is that we got to do to, how I would like to say, create heaven on earth for, us to, enjoy and be a part of, or we got bored with, the way things were, and we're still, how do they say it, hell bent on keeping, hell as this time and space around us, because we narcissistically feel more empowered, manipulating people, using people, or being a hurt person and hurting everybody instead of healing ourselves. Now, with that being said, there was a lot of what I'm going to call black magic being done to, utilize power, or, trick somebody into, something, a situation or a circumstance where there was other people that were, utilizing white magic or utilizing protective magic to block out whatever somebody was trying to do, so that whatever energy they put out came back to them karmically. Moving into